Hi everybody, it's Alisamurray here with my Martini Talks, and we're having a wonderful conversation this afternoon with my good friend Brandi. She is an educator, fifth grade school teacher. She's been in the business of educating little people for a long, long time, and we're going to visit with you guys today about education and how that's changing, along with all sorts of things, just being mommies and that sort of thing. Her son's the same age as James Edwards, so we've got that in common as well. Brandi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And here, cheers to our Martini Talk, another Martini Talk.
Yes.
So talk to me. Tell me what's been going on. I was visiting with you about this wonderful thing that you're doing with the children with all the COVID stuff going on and how they're wanting to learn how to read, and you're reading them stories. So tell me how all that started.
Well, we had to do our Zoom meetings and all our, after the spring semester, we had to just kind of start online learning, and it was a brand new thing for us. So I Zoomed with both my classes, because I have switched classes. I have fifth grade, and I Zoomed with them every single day. It wasn't a requirement. They weren't like, you have to Zoom every day, but I wanted to.
Right.
Not to say that all the kids came. It was, the fifth graders, they want to sleep in. So my homeroom though, I did a read aloud, because it got to be where they didn't really ask questions. So about the assignments.
Right.
So I was like, let's just do a read aloud. And we read Refugee, which is on their middle school book list. And it's an awesome book. And so they were just, into it, and they had to come back. And so I just read to them every time. It was wonderful. I loved it. And we talked, and usually at the beginning we'd start talking about something random, and then let's look that up. Where did you go? Oh, let's look that up. And we'd get it on there. And so we talk about anything, I'm like, your parents are going to say we're talking about SeaWorld or, just something random, the biggest mall in America. That's what we looked up one time. Biggest mall in America. Just for some reason. But I kind of do that in my classroom. I talk to them like they're my friends, they're my students, but we talk about whatever. And I make them super comfortable with me, because that's the most fun. We have private jokes. I think one of the best things is if they're shy with, like, I have kind of a sarcastic personality where I might make a joke. They can joke about me. It doesn't matter at all. That's just my personality. So if they want to, we have private jokes and I say something about them, I'm totally kidding. And the ones that are sensitive, I don't want to hurt their feelings, but it gets to be where it's just, they know I'm kidding.
Right.
They know me, and that's what I want. if we can't, because I'm going to hurt their feelings. That writing, redo it. If they start crying about stuff like that, we have no chance.
Well, we have to teach them how to deal with that when they're little.
Exactly.
And that's part of the education process, is really to get through that. I remember when I was in school, probably third, fourth, I don't know what the age, you'll remember because you're in education, when they start giving you the CAT test or the something they have to take where you fill in all the little bubbles.
Oh, yeah. Like
I don't remember
there's so many different names.
Well,
usually second grade.
In North Carolina, we had to do that. And they had worked me up so bad about it that I thought I was going to fail or something if I didn't make a perfect grade on it. And I remember the morning that we took it, I leaned over the desk and threw up all over the floor.
Oh my gosh.
I was so worked up.
Yeah,
and I remember they came in, the janitorial guy came in and put cat litter on the floor, and they were like, oh.
Cat litter?
They were like, whoopsie, we've really upset Elisa's apple cart. And I'm like, yeah, you sure did, because you made me think that my whole life depended on this one test. And I was little, and that stuck with me for a long, long time.
If you're still
being sensitive about all that kind of stuff, because it was like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to be able to make this work. What if I make the wrong move? What if I take the little bubble and circle it in, and then I have to erase it, and it's not erased on the reader? And it just was awful. I remember going through all of that. But getting those kids over the humps of all those things is the foundation, really, of life.
I totally agree.
So, you've got just an important role. Obviously, everybody knows you do because you're an educator, but whoopsie.
I know.
We've got an important role in more than just teaching them reading and writing and arithmetic.
Oh, I agree. I think that's just part of it. I think that, because they could go online and learn they could learn, I'm going to, this skill, in a way. We have to make them comfortable with us so they want to learn. And when you said about the testing, when I got into star grades, like I taught second for like 14 years, so no star test or no, tax test.
Right, yeah.
So when I got to fourth grade, I was like, when she asked me to go to fourth grade, I was like, oh gosh, I'm a little nervous. But the thing was, I just kind of didn't talk about it being the test.
Yeah.
it was like, because I do writing and I love it. I'm not saying I'm the best writer, but I love teaching it.
Right.
Love it. I love it. I will analyze. We will talk. I mean, I make them comfortable with reading their stories, or take their stories and we'll talk about it together. And, I mean, I would never put any child on the spot ever. I mean, some don't.
You wouldn't anyway, but
no,
yeah.
I mean, you just never, because I hated that. So I would never do that. But when I got to do the STAR test, I didn't talk about it. So my partner was so funny. She's like, Brandi, your class, because we switched. In fact, that year, I think we had 3-way split. So my co-teachers were like, your class doesn't even know that Monday is the real test.
Yeah.
They asked if it was practice. They're like, Brandi, really? And I said, well, I just say, I don't even talk about it. It's just,
because it's going to make somebody like me, who's hypersensitive and type A, and I mean, so driven. It's like, and I had not only that, the children and people know, I mean, most of you guys know as parents and educators too, it's sometimes born, right?
Oh, yeah,
You have a child that's born, that's type A, that's driven, that's really, goal setting.
Right.
Almost to the point of obsession.
Right.
And then you've got a family who's putting pressure on top of that. And, my father was a surgeon. My mother was a nurse. My grandmother, my grandmother was a 3rd grade school teacher and went to East Carolina. So I have that unique situation where my grandmother was college educated, which is not normal.
It isn't. It really isn't.
And so we were pushed. I mean, I remember... It's a funny story, and it involves writing, so you'll love this, and you guys will probably enjoy the story too. So Granny, Mother's mother, was all about me spending the summers with her after Mother was killed. We would go, and I'd spend a month at a time with Granny and Big Day, my mother's parents. And Granny would spend the summers with me, making me do multiplication tables and making me do stuff that she just felt like I needed to do. Like she went into teaching mode. And it was like, educate the child, educate all summer. Don't let that get behind with what, because most of the kids do fall behind.
They do, yeah.
A couple of months of not doing anything, and that's a problem. And so Granny was an absolute stickler about writing and the perfect cursive and the perfect A and the perfect this. And I always would make my A with a little hole in it at the top. I never would connect that back, right? Yes. And she used to say those little piggies are getting out of the gate, because she would have that be like, she wanted me to visualize it. That was like a fence, and the little piggies were going to get out of that gate if I had a little hole. And so now, all these years later, of course, the Alisa signature is on everything. It's on Sweet Life columns. It's on the photography business. It's on everything. It's trademarked. And it's so funny because it's not got a closed A.
Oh, wow.
Which is fantastic.
I'm going to check that out now. I'm going to look at it.
It's fantastic, because when I see that, I'm like, well, Granny wouldn't be happy about that.
Right, she'd be happy about me, yeah.
She would be happy about what we've done, but she wouldn't be happy about that. But it's like, but in a way, it's a good thing too, because I was able to kind of be less perfect.
Yes. It shows,
because that was driven.
I can totally see that, yes.
And you've got a lot of students that have that, either the pressure from home or the internal pressures that they just get because that's how they're born, that's how they're wired.
Yes,
so I mean, it just depends on what you're dealing with in the classroom. But I just think it's so wonderful that you're continuing to do that, because that's the thing I wanted to share with you guys, is that not only did Brandi start reading to the students right as COVID hit in March and the kids never came back to school, but the kids were like, oh, wait a minute, we don't want this to stop. And so share with me about that, because this has continued on through the summer. I mean, you've got a regular following now.
Well, I have and I did it last summer also, but this was just, this was, I guess, a little different. But I have a book club, and it's kind of like an adult book club where they don't feel like they're my students. They feel like they're my friends. Again, that's what I want. I mean, it's basically I just sent it to my 2 classes. I didn't really advertise it huge. I just wanted, because they have to be small. So I think I had 12 kids, and they come to my house every Wednesday, and we read one chapter book that was on their middle school list, and we'd have candy, we'd have popcorn, we would sit there. They were in my house. They got to see Jinx, my cat. They saw where Miss Strube lived. They thought it was awesome. They were, because last summer I did it also, but so I had kind of looked at another teacher. She was doing it, but it was at the library, and I thought, well, that's fine, but I thought, no, that's not the feel I want.
Right.
And no knocking anybody else, but I just didn't, that's not me. So I didn't, because I went there and tutored one time, and I was like,
Well, and the library does have a tendency to have that stuffy, quiet, be quiet, don't
yes.
talk, not having fun here, get your book, get home
Yes.
kind of air
Oh,
about
yes.
it. I mean, like I know growing up, we did not, it was frowned upon for you to go into the library and start conversations with people.
Oh yeah, I know exactly that. That's been hard for me.
Yeah, we're in that age group where it was like a shh place. It
Yeah.
was not a place where we have like puppet time and,
Right.
and
Yes.
time to talk and, you know, be loud and whatever, you know.
And it was like that, and it still is kind of, the Sienna one is still kind of like that, and it's very crowded, so you can get those study rooms, and then you're in this little room, and I was like, okay, I can't do this, you know, so I was like, my house, people are like, you're doing your house? Yeah.
I do everything at my house.
I don't, yeah.
Y'all know that. Studios at the house.
I want to stay here.
You're so sweet. Everything is at this house. I've
awesome.
always worked from home. I
love
don't
that.
even know how to function. That's one thing I will say about COVID. I've always been at home.
Right.
Victoria Ann, I don't know if you knew that. Victoria Ann had her first anaphylactic reaction when she was 7 months old.
Okay.
And daddy, you know, was a doctor, and and mother was killed, you know, she was killed when I was little, but she was a nurse, and she nursed us, right? And the story goes that she showed her student nursing students how to breastfeed by using me. And
okay.
very progressive. I mean, back in I think the pivotal point, I don't know
That
when
is
it was. I was
progressive.
born in 1970s, so I don't know when they stopped wanting people to, what Daddy used to call titty juice, and that's what I grew up calling it, was titty juice.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. But
Southern.
you know, Daddy and Mother were real, being physician and nurse, real pro on that. And the story goes, and there's just a few little stories that are like nuggets because people remember Mom and they're starting to pass away, and so I've got to mark and make sure we don't forget those that we do have.
Right.
But that Mother was like an abdomen breastfeeder, and she used me as an example
Yes.
of that. But because Victoria Ann was she was 90th percentile, and she was always hungry, and you know, I just didn't even pay attention to the PD because you know, Daddy's a doctor, right? So whatever Daddy says is what goes, right? You know, I'm one of those girls, one of those Daddy's girls. And so he called me from North Carolina, and we were in Sugar Land, and he said, it's time to feed her milk. Your mother would have done that at 6 months anyway, put some cereal in there and give it to her. Girl, as soon as I did it, she turned blue. She was allergic to dairy, allergic to everything in the world. We barely got her to the hospital.
Oh, no.
And from there, everything click. She was allergic to the world. I mean, that child was one of those first kids in that interim where now we've got scratch and bloody, poop and blood, welts, allergic to everything, and she was allergic to everything that I ate. So I had to stop nursing her and go to soy, and every day was a challenge to get her fed so she would grow. And so when the studio started, because you know, I was headed to law school, I was supposed to, Brian and I got married. I said, I'm going to finish my undergraduate, we're going to stop, we're going to have a baby, then I'm going to law school.
Yes.
This was my little, everything I do is
Yes, I love it.
plan,
I love it.
And so I had gone to Savannah College of Art and Design, and Brian and I was at St. Mary's first in Raleigh and did my associates there. And then I was a year in interior design and painting major at SCAD. And then when we moved to Houston at U of H, didn't accept the credits, transferred over from Georgia and North Carolina, and it put me back as a sophomore instead of a senior.
Okay.
And so I waved the flag and said to my father-in-law and my daddy, I said, I'm not getting a degree in interior design and painting. I'm getting a degree in something else. And so I switched gears and started doing psychology classes. And the professor of sociology at U of H was the tenure of Simon, Dr. Simon, of William Simon, I think, of Simon and Gagnon, that had done sex research in the early 70s.
Okay.
And he just locked onto me. We were like, I mean, he's just one of those educators that you'll never forget.
That's
There's
awesome.
a few that I can mark in my year of being a student that were just so outstanding. They were just like amazing. And even though they may not even still be alive, were like, they influenced me so
That's
much.
amazing.
So your role that you have is huge,
Yes.
is my point.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that because of that, so the first photos of Victoria Ann, you know, my Uncle Jim strolled in from Tyler. He was a photographer, my mother's brother. And photos were always important, right? Because Mother was dead. And there were no photos.
Right.
And she was always the photographer. And he said,
got it. Okay.
you know, photography is a big deal, and photography is important, and you're an artist, and you ought to think about shooting. And I went and took her to his studio in Tyler, and he was working on her first pictures, and I yelled at him. I yelled at him in the middle of shooting, and I
Yes.
said, "Get the shot." And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, Alisa, you're a photographer." Because he knew the moment that he would be clicking the camera. And I had never picked up a camera the day of my life, I mean,
Yes.
other than like a little whatever,
Right,
whatever.
right.
And so he came to Sugar Land, showed me how to shoot the camera, and
Oh,
then
how
we
cool.
shot together. And then he went back to Tyler and died. And the photos sat in that camera for probably, I don't know, a couple of months. Victoria Ann was little. And so, you know, she was maybe, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months. And I took them to be developed. And we were in a mommy group that was meeting over there in First Colony.
Yes.
And one of the moms was friends with one of the magazines. And she saw the photos of Victoria Ann and she was like, "Oh my God, that's a cover."
Oh my
And so the very
gosh.
first photos that I ever shot with my uncle made it to the cover of a magazine. And it was like chill bumps. It was like mother made sure that her brother got to me to make sure that I
Yes,
was
I believe
able
that.
to be
I believe it.
photographed.
I totally believe that.
Otherwise, I would have been off to law school. But Victoria Ann's food allergies, once the studio started, made it so I did not feel it was possible to have a studio away from home.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the
Makes sense.
reason behind always having been
Oh.
at home was so if she got a hold of a peanut or got a hold of a cracker or got a hold of anything whatsoever, I could throw her in that car and fly her to the hospital and save her. And I was not comfortable putting her in daycares. I wasn't comfortable
Right.
putting her
Agree.
anywhere
I
because
agree.
I didn't know what kid would show up with a peanut butter
You
and jelly
take the best
sandwich.
care. Yeah. Only
You
mom
know.
can take care of him. Like
So the studio's always been at home. So for 22 years, what have I done? I've rolled out of bed, put a wig on my head, and gone to the studio, right? And shot babies. And so that for me is normal. But a lot of moms that I've talked to, and other daddies too, through the whole COVID process, it's a big struggle because they're so used to having like the home life
Right.
and the work life,
work life,
and the
yes.
home space and the work space. And they're trying to create this sort of
Right.
division between the two. And then the funny thing is Brandi, they'll go, "I don't understand how you get all this stuff done." And you've even said that to me before.
Oh,
I don't
yeah, she
understand how you
amazed
get all
me.
this stuff done. The reason why you get it done is there's no time in the car.
Right.
There's no stopping. Okay, there's the bad part. There's no stopping.
Right.
That's the bad part because you are in every space of your
I know
home.
what
You
you're
are
saying.
actually working.
I'll tell you something. Yeah.
And what's cool about that is that you're so much more productive as a person when you are able to work from home.
Right.
And I loved it when the babies were little because if Victoria Ann was taking a nap, I could go shoot a baby. And then if she was up and needed to play, I could be the mommy. And then if a client was 2 hours late, I could do the laundry
Right,
and
right.
start dinner.
Right.
And I was not in this box where I had work
Right.
and I had
Oh my
home.
gosh, you are ahead of the times because I mean this is what everybody wants right now. I mean, like I have been home and my husband's like he's been going in 1 week on, 1 week off. He works IT at MD Anderson, and he's like, you know, when he's kind of going, "Oh, I'm going crazy," he tells my son Jacob, he's like, "Mom is happy as could be." I'm like, "I am loving this," and like I know exactly what you're saying because I'll stay at school all day. I'm doing laundry at 10 o'clock at night.
Not only that, your brain has got a switch on it. So when you get
Right.
off work, you're now thinking, I don't really want to do the laundry, and gosh, I'm home and
Right.
work is over.
Right.
You've got to switch, and most people do. Psychologically, it's a switch. And for me, it's like,
Sure.
no, I roll out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and I've got a list of crap I got to get done for the day. And
Right.
sometimes it's shooting a baby, sometimes it's making a painting, sometimes it's putting together recipes. A lot of times it's episodes and layout for the YouTube now, you know, these
Yes,
days
yes,
with this
yes.
new career that I've started. But it's like project, okay? And with the YouTube, it's great because what projects am I doing? Projects that I should have been doing anyway.
Right.
I mean, somebody's like, how do you come up with a project? Like, I'm not going to make something that I wouldn't already
Right.
be needing to make.
Right.
I'm not making up stuff to
Yeah,
make
I'm
for
gonna make some
y'all.
pottery now. Yeah,
No,
you're
I'm not
like,
doing that.
no.
If I want it for the house or for a photo shoot, we just dropped, we haven't dropped it yet. We just finished taping it. I did a walkway years ago with like hand-painted concrete blocks. And for forever, James Edward 17, so since probably was 3, so a long damn time,
Right.
we've used that space. And I thought, you know what, that needs to come up. We need to redo it. We need to put down dirt. We need to paint it different.
Right.
We need to create a space for the families to be photographed this fall. And we redid it. But yeah, I mean, I taped it because it shows somebody how
That's
to
awesome.
how to make something, you know, if you're going to be doing it anyway,
Right.
right? If you're doing YouTube. If you're not doing YouTube, then it doesn't matter at all. You
Right.
just do whatever you're going to do. But for me, the mentality of switching over to this concept of not working from home, I mean, I've always worked from home, so I have no idea how to even conceive of that. I think about so much time that's wasted with people in their car to work, and then have to stop in an hour and a half or whatever to do your lunch. Okay, that's wasted time. Then in the car, and in Houston, it's not like it's not like North Carolina or Tennessee or whatever little old tiny itsy bitsy town in wherever USA. Houston is a haul. So you get in your car to go from Sugar Land to West U or wherever, you're an hour.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You do it at 4:00, you're almost an hour and a half.
Yes.
So I mean, how much time are you wasting, and how much more productive could you be if you just work from home? I mean, like, it just is what it is. And I get the parents are like freaking out about school starting up, and I get the fact that they're not digging being educators themselves. But I wrote about this in the column for the next column that's coming out in the magazine, Living the Sweet Life. People are needing to learn that they have always been teachers. Parents are supposed to be teachers.
They are.
What they're doing, and what some of them have been complaining about, is what they're supposed to have already been doing all along.
I agree. I mean, I have children that come in, and I can tell the ones, their parents, just talk to them about whatever. It does not have to be, let's do our multiplication tables. It is, like, I remember a little second grader came in, my mom went out of town today. Oh, cool, honey, where'd she go? I don't know. Why would you not tell your daughter? I mean, my son knew his address when he was 3.
No, listen.
Let me tell you this.
Crazy.
I'm sorry, I remember I was like, we were making an envelope, like addressing an envelope. Okay, no big deal. We don't really do it that often, but we were addressing an envelope, and it was, you know how many didn't know their address?
That's crazy. So,
their middle name.
Well, here's the deal. What happens if they're lost?
Exactly. That's what I told them.
What happens if they're lost?
Exactly. This was way back. And I mean, I was blowing my top. I mean, I'm sure they were like, she is, I was like, I go, my 3-year-old son is like 3510. I mean, he just
make a song. You make a song.
Yes.
You have them sing the song, so that if they get lost, then they hopefully will remember that they're supposed to sing the song.
I mean, I just couldn't. Parents, they think kids don't get it. I'm over here. No, this is what you do. I'm watching this.
And the other thing, Brandi, that's hysterical. It's not hysterical funny. It's hysterical to me because Brian and I work together. Like, we rode the first grade school bus together. We just celebrated horribly through COVID, a non-celebratory 30th wedding anniversary, which is a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal.
It is.
That we work in everything we do together, and, we love each other. Like, we love each other. And so being on top of each other in this house for the past 30 years and working together every day on everything we do, whether it be real estate or travel or all the businesses we work together on. And people would come in and out of here and like, oh my God, I could not work with my husband.
That's what a lot of people say.
Oh my God. I'm like, because you're living in a box life. You have your job. He has his job.
That's exactly
right.
You
have the kids. You turn it on, you turn it off. You turn it on, you turn it off. There's not this fluid continuum of living.
I totally agree.
And I just know there's going to be 2 things that are going to happen from this COVID experience. One is, unfortunately, I'm going to find some of my families are getting divorced.
Yes.
Right? And the other thing is, which I'm hoping for, is that some of them got it on and made me some more babies to photograph.
Sweet.
So the good thing, the bad thing. But the funny thing about all of it is it's like, for me, it's like, think about Nana. Like, I think about that. I think about my grandparents and my great-grandparents. And even before that, they worked at home. They farmed. They worked at home. They worked together. They were dependent on the earth. They were not dependent on Amazon or Walmart or HEB or whatever. They would grow in their yard. What they grew, they ate.
Yes.
And Nana lived to be 102.
Jeez.
Okay. Fiery as she
hero.
could be. Fiery. And and Jamesy said the other day, he said, Mom, why are you slathering all that butter on that piece of biscuit? And I said, this is the way that Nana ate the biscuit.
Right, they did. Yeah.
And I mean, granted, maybe the difference is that Nana had made the butter versus bought the butter.
Right.
Which might be the reason why some of us are dying before 102.
You'll be making butter soon.
But I hope not.
I'll come over next time and
Oh, dear God.
I'm not
please
surprised.
don't even give me any more ideas about something else to come up with to do. Lord have mercy.
I can see it.
I know you can.
I really can.
I know you can.
We're gonna design the butter.
So we put a little A on there.
Exactly.
That's hysterical.
I'll buy it.
This morning before you came to see me this afternoon, the news feed came through. You know, Insta's always filling you full of all kinds of stuff. And one of my buddies, she's got twin boys and they're identical. And I just photographed them a couple of weeks ago. And they're darling. I mean, they're just so sweet to photograph. I just love when they're babies because they just giggle and they're so much fun.
I love it.
But she had posted this like cool like wooden block thing that fits over your stovetop.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, for the Sweet Life kitchen set, when you're doing your tapings for the kitchen and your recipes, this might be a great thing to use or have made for that. And then I sent it to one of my guys that's like in the Woodlands. It's like a woodworker, and he's the one that helped me do the barrel episode for the DIY, where he built these barrels in the garden, and we strung lights across the back of the thing to the tree and all that. And then they sent me back a text. I'm like, oh my God, Auntie A, we need to put the Alisa on the middle of it and make it a chopping block. And, you know, but yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny.
Your mind's amazing.
Well,
I know that's,
you're so sweet.
No, you are. And you're not trying to, I know you're not trying to toot your own horn. You're just your
I'm
ideas.
Just being me.
You're just being you. I know. I can tell. I can tell that. That's what I'm teaching is also becoming a social sales kind of deal. I mean, I try to please everybody and I want to the best I can, but I can, you know, and a lot of times people come with false, you know, they don't think you're going to do a good job for your baby. And it is the most important person, you know, that is,
yeah.
I mean, I can see that they're going to be, whoa, what's this lady like or whatever. But,
well, the beginning of every school year is always met with some trepidation because you just don't know. And I will say this about where we are, you know, we're at the private Christian school and it's small, and a lot of the professors that are there, he's had in 3rd grade, he's also had them again in 7th grade.
Gotcha.
We have repeat teachers that are in each heads of the departments. And so once you get to know those educators, you kind of know what they expect and what they expect of you. And, you know, kind of back and forth a little bit on, you know, sometimes we want you to have a tutor. Sometimes we really don't want you to have a tutor, so we can see where we need to help you.
Right.
Some are like hands off, you know, you're on your own. If you don't understand it, you have to hire somebody else. Others are like, no, I want you to be in touch with me. We had a teacher that was, I guess it was 2 years ago. She'd come from North Carolina. That always resonates, obviously, because that's where we're from. And she did all of her math assignments on a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And the kids would tune in and they would see how to work the problems. And so she would lecture during the school hours that they were with her, show them how to work the actual arithmetic on a video so they could push it and watch it over and over and over again, which I love because being an artist, I'm not a math person. Like that's the last thing in the world that I am. I'm so far on the other, which is fine. I mean, like we all have our gifts, and so I'm fine with that. And I have Brian, so Brian can handle all the math. That's good. You know, that's a good thing about if you are married to the right person. The one you're married to is the direct opposite of you in the skill set. So as much as I love to mic up and hang out with you or do live TV or whatever, if the TV crew comes in and they have often, he runs upstairs and hides in the closet. He's like, it can't be me. I'm not on TV. I said, you're not on TV, baby. You don't have to worry about that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I saw a comedian and he talked about how he was from like Chicago and he married a Southern girl, and he said that they're like the cat and the dog. He's the cat, runs and hides upstairs when they're and the pizza delivery guy comes and she's at the kitchen table with him. He's invited in, and my husband was like, that's you and I. And that's y'all. I mean, you know, and
it is.
That's totally us too. Because I mean, my son's like, Mom, I mean, why are you friends? Why are you best friends with that? I'm like, why? I don't know. Why not?
But the thing is it's. I mean, and if you think about it, you have a whole. Like I remember we were somewhere. Where were we? We were in Isla for our anniversary, and there was a group of photographers that were there that were only there for like 2 days to take pictures of like the whales or something. There's some special time period that they were only going to be there, and they were all there to do like this photo shoot, and then whoever won the award to be the one that would be like the billboard in Mexico or whatever. And there was this couple from Australia, and they saw me and B hanging out, and they saw them bring us like the little candle thing with the little crap on it, you know, they do for your anniversary.
Yes.
And she came out and she saw us taking pictures in the sunset and all that, and she said, what is the deal with you guys? I said, oh, well, we're celebrating our anniversary or whatever. And she's like, I just have never understood how people could stay together for that long. Like, I don't understand that. And I said, I don't understand how you couldn't.
Right.
If you build a life together. And she goes, well, how would you describe your marriage? And I said, well, I breathe in and he breathes out.
Oh,
and she
awesome.
started crying. She started crying. And she
would
was
cry
like,
too.
oh my God, because
awesome.
so many people don't feel that way. But if you build your life in that way,
Right.
similar to what we're talking about, working from home and being in your children's lives, your husband's life, your friends' lives in a fluid way.
Yeah, it is fluid.
It's living your sweet life. That's what it is. I mean, like, that's really what, at the base of all of it, that's what it is.
It is. I feel like you've let me in so recently. I mean, like recently, and I'm already feeling, I felt that right away, that fluidness, like that it's all together. Your son's awesome talking to me, like, just.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what, my husband and I have been together since we were 15. So we are the same way. We went to high school together. We've been married 28 years, I think. We've been together for like 35, 36 years, so it's the same thing. And I feel like he's just, I mean, is it always like the first time you're never going to have that.
No, but but here's the thing. I know, and they did a story on us several years back.
Okay.
And she relayed us to Lucille Ball.
Oh yeah, and Desi.
And she said you're that couple.
Oh,
you're the couple that it's like the Bushes. Recently, right before he passed away, or she passed away before he did.
Yes.
We were at the Houstonian. I was there doing a media meeting with one of my clients because I have Alisamurray Media as well, which I know you're not shocked about that. But anyway, so I do a lot of promotions and stuff for other people too. And I was there, and I looked over, and there was Barbara, and there was Bush, and they were like that too. And so it was one of those things where I knew that once she passed away, it would be months, not years, before he would go too, because you're so much apart. It's like half your heart is gone.
Yes.
Half your life is gone because your whole life was lived.
Right.
In
sure.
total.
Yeah, we know everything. I mean, we same friends. I mean, I just, his friends are my, I mean, like
there's no separation.
There's no separation.
And it's crazy to me because I'll see people that are here that are clients or whatever and friends, and there's not really there's no line between them. If you're here, especially now, me being the age that I am and as many years as I photographed you, if you're here now, you're a friend. I don't have a client. I have my friends that I take care of their families and book their travel and shoot their families and take care of this and promote their businesses. And if it's not that relationship, then it's just not right. It's just, that's just not, but it's interesting to me, and I forgot what I was going to say with that. Where was I at with that?
Yeah, we were at, I think we said that like we've been together and we almost finished each other's sentences.
And we do. That whenever people are going off and doing girls' weekend.
Yes. I mean, that's.
Or the boys are going to Vegas for like 3 or 4 days. That sends a red flag to me, because I'm like, they're up to no good. I mean, they may not be doing anything wrong, right?
Right.
But I was raised by grandmothers, and you didn't let your husband run off and go do anything by himself with a bunch of boys. It just didn't happen.
Right.
It was not what you did. And it was asking for trouble if you did it. And we've never done it. So when we first got married, there was a couple of friends that we had that we were before babies, before babies.
Yes.
Oh, let Brian go, I said, it's not about me letting him do anything.
Right.
I'm not letting him do anything. I'm not his mama.
Right.
But he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
And if I had some girlfriends that wanted me to go do whatever, I would say, well, I'm sorry, I can't go because we have to bring B. Like it's a 2-person party. If it's not going to be the 2 people party, then we don't go.
Right.
And so I think that that's also a really good nugget for those of you who are struggling maybe and trying to reconnect with your spouse or whatever through all of this crazy stuff that we've had going on, is that one solid nugget of marriage is do it all together.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Do it all together. I mean, like, I'm not saying start a company with your husband like I did 4 and 5 times, but I am saying do stuff together. Don't run off and try to do stuff separate, because that's when things start to get a little.
I think so too. I think you're right. I think
weird.
that we've gotten even. I mean, we're pretty much together all the time. I mean, I think at the beginning, there was, because I had like, but the thing is, we graduated high school together. Our friends are all the same,
right.
So like he's known, all my friends since he was little, and the same with me. I can say I've known your good friends since I was 5 years old, that kind of thing in Quail Valley. So we did some girls trips, but then it got to be where it just didn't even really happen. I don't even know why. It just kind of just because it just stopped because you don't really want it. You don't seek it. You don't. I don't, not that I needed it, but I just,
Well, and I told him, I forgot who it was, one of my mamas, one of my friends, she said, you need to come with us. I said, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to stop working, which is what I do all the time, but it's not working because I'm living my passion. So I'm not, when I'm working in the studio shooting families, I'm not working. I mean, yes, I'm making a living, but I'm an artist.
Right.
And I love what I do. So I'm not really working. I mean, I'm working in the sense that I'm working and making a living, but I'm not really working because I'm doing my purpose.
Yeah.
I'm giving people gifts of photography that will be here past my death.
Yes.
Will be here past their deaths.
so funny you said that.
The most important things I can give you, right? So I'm giving you a gift and you're giving me money, but I'm not feeling like I'm working. It's not a job that I hate. It's a job that I love and enjoy and want to do. But I don't know. I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. Is it's so funny you said that because Jacob, my husband, came home and it does get to be a little, it gets old. You work for the state, Andy Anderson, not to be, he does IT and it's very, he's never worked for.
It's technical.
It's very technical and it's very, like they don't have supplies. He came home, I need Velcro to do these cords together because we don't have it there. I don't know if I ask someone, I have to go like across the medical center to get it, and I'm like, welcome to the state. I've worked for, a school district.
Sure.
And I just learned not to need, like I knew that if my computer was not going to, I knew if I would ask for something, I may not get it for a long time. And I just learned that. Teachers do that. We go get
your own supplies.
Yeah. I'm like, just do it. And so I've never been picky with that kind of thing. It's just, if I do without or I get myself, whatever. But my husband looked tired yesterday and I was at home and Jacob said, Dad, I wish you could not have a job. I feel bad for you because he's home, we're home and I'm like, well, I'm working. He's like, Mom, but it's different. I mean, you like it. You love it.
Right.
That's what he said. It was funny. And I was like, I do? And he's like, yes. It's funny because I'm trying to say it's a wrap, I'm just, because I get frustrated.
They know though. I mean, they know. And the kids know. I mean, Victoria will send me a text and she's like, Mom, what are you doing today? And I'll just rattle off all kinds of stuff I'm doing. I'll be like, I'm going to take this and I'm going to edit this and I'm going to paint this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this and then I'm going to cook this. And she's like, you just amaze me. You make me so tired. And she's 22, but she's her daddy's personality too.
Oh, yes.
So she's the, I'm a good helper. Like the behind the scenes, backbone, skeletal system of every operation has to have those people in it.
For sure.
But Brian can turn it on. And Brian can turn it off.
Right.
Brian can go in here and retouch pictures for 5-6 hours a day. And then he turns it off and he can go play video games and not feel guilty. That's the bad part about working from home is that when you do have the personality, like we talked about earlier.
You read my mind. I'm not kidding.
You're just so busy with what you could do. I sent a text before you showed up today and she said, oh my God, you have such a crazy schedule this weekend. And I said, self-inflicted.
Exactly.
Self-inflicted. It's not that someone's holding a fire to my rear end and telling me, oh my God, you have to take 5 episodes for your YouTube channel this weekend.
Right.
I have set forth my schedule of what needs to happen, ding, 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 and I have to check it off of my list to feel good, to make sure I've done what I'm supposed to do for the day, which is a good thing and also a bad thing.
I know exactly what you're saying because they said the same thing to me. I can't turn it off. I would feel guilty. I've got to be doing something all the time. Like I'll watch Netflix and then, I'll watch a series or something. I'm not just sitting there watching it. I am doing a million things at once.
So I'm needle pointing.
I'm doing a million things. And then, I don't know, I'm doing something. I'm making lists. I'm doing everything. Not doing as much as you probably. I know that. But,
that.
Yeah. And so then, someone, my husband will watch whatever it was. I'll talk him and
they're totally engrossed.
Well, they're watching it, but then he asks me questions. Like, didn't you watch this? I'm like, yeah.
Oh.
I'm like, tell me what happens. He's like, you saw this.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's just noise.
Well, sort of.
It's just noise.
It's noise.
It's noise.
It's there.
It's noise. Yeah. There's a few things. I will say this, a big shout out, and I'm not getting paid to do the shout out, but to my, who doesn't even know me, good friend Brad Thor, he just, every time he puts a book out, I just eat it.
Okay.
He's probably one of the only people that can write a book that literally, I don't give myself that pleasure to sit still and just read and not have it be something that has to do with making money or building a business or improving yourself. But that Scott Horvath, I'm telling you right now, every time that he creates a book, and they know me, they see me coming at the store, they know as soon as I walk in there, because I go on a regular basis and get magazines because I'm always pulling things for inspiration for all my columns.
Yes.
And so they'll run over and go, oh no, Miss Murray, we've got a new Thor's out. Brad Thor just put a new book out.
I've never heard of it.
I'm telling you what. But Brian just laughs. He's like, has he, because he wants me to calm down.
Right.
He'll
Of course.
say,
Of course.
before we're going to go on vacation or whatever, he'll go, do you have another one of those Thor books? Because I need for you to be still.
Yes, yeah, you take
I don't
one.
need you to take a laptop to the beach.
Right, your calendar.
And try to do your mojito and the ocean and work when we're supposed to be on vacation.
Right.
So the downside of that personality is there's that too.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, if I left home, I have the big planner that opens up and has the whole month. I don't know, it just bothers me that I want to be able to see the whole month, but I still write it down. Like, it makes me, I can remember.
Oh, I'm scared that the technology is going to be.
Me too. I don't know how to. It's also it needs to be my handwriting, and I'm like highlight. This. If I would never leave the house without. I mean, I would never go on a vacation. Like, but why do I need to know that I have a dentist appointment in 2 weeks? I mean, like I have to.
I know.
I know what
but
I'm looking
at.
at.
What it is. It just makes you feel comfortable.
It does make me feel comfortable. You're right.
It's just one of those little safety things that you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want you to for sure think about is starting a YouTube channel. I think that what you're doing with these kids is just incredible. I told you before. Mother, before she was killed, she started the junior great books program in reading at the elementary school, because I was in second grade when she got killed, and she had us all come in and we were reading all these classics, and they did a little bookcase for her with a little thing for her that was there. It's probably still there in our small little town, but I mean, she's been dead for forever. She got killed in 1978, so we're 2020 now, so I have no idea how many years, but a long time ago. But reading and educating was very important to her, and it's always been important to me, and I've instilled that in both of my children. And I love the fact that you're reading to the kids. I love the fact that you're not trying to be the strict teacher with the ruler, and it's just my relationship with you is with a line in the sand, and I'm the teacher and you listen to me. That you want the relationship to be fluid, because they are so much better served when they're comfortable and they know that you're going to shoot them straight, and you can talk about things and relate books to real life.
Oh, for sure.
And that really leaves a mark. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, educators are huge. They have a huge role to play. And I get that everybody's freaking out about having to not do school or homeschool, but I think that the ability that you have to connect to the children and do what you're doing, whether it be at home, right, or whether it be online as a YouTube channel. The nice thing about the YouTube channel, which I told you about earlier, is that once you've recorded it, it lives forever. So when you're 80 years old, your son's children can watch grandma.
That's crazy to me.
Watch you read stories of the same stories that were important for you to share with your students at that time.
It's amazing.
And that's one of the reasons why I've done this, because it would be fantastic, I'm not going to lie, if this just took off into the wild blue yonder and I got endorsements and I became more famous than I am locally to some, extent across the country or whatever. But, and I've I know how to handle that because I've had a lot of success here, and I've been on lots of magazines and been on lots of television. All of that's not unfamiliar to me. But the bottom line of YouTube for me is that James Edwards said to me, Mom, I want there to be video of you so that when you're gone, there's Nana's recipes, there's you painting, there's you crafting, there's you doing you, and they'll know who you were.
You are, yes.
And so this platform is, it would be fantastic, I'm not going to lie, if it went to the sky.
Right.
I would love it. But at the base level of just being a human being, through all of the stuff that's happened with all the things that we've been all dealing with all over the world, I'm building a library of me.
I love that.
And I think that I want you to think about building a library of you, because it's such a core center of who you are, and you love what you do, like I do. And I think the children would just really, they're going to benefit right now, today, your kids. But what you need to think about is what made me click, because it clicked. That's what clicked it, was James Edward. Because it's always been easy for me to be behind the camera, right? I'm the behind the camera gal. I'm the photographer. I'm the one in charge of all of that.
Right.
And for me to have to switch gears and be the one in front of the camera is a different role to play. Right. Completely different role to play.
Right.
And when you're setting up the kitchen episodes, you've got to do all this preparation, and it's just, easier just to go do the recipe.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's easier just to go do the recipe and serve it to the family and not have to measure this and measure that and show you how to do this and do that.
Yeah.
But when you think about it in that way, that Mom, I want there to be video of you being you.
I mean,
you live, and I mentioned this the other day in something else. I don't know. I know I mentioned it on my podcast. I didn't mention it in the Martini Talks. Lenny Kravitz was interviewed by Willie Geist, and it's a rerun. It's a rerun because they're in summertime. We're in summertime.
Yeah.
And he said, I come home and I turn on my television set. And my mom is on TV. And her voice is there. Her body's there. She's moving around. It's like she never died. And I never had that with mom because it never existed.
Yes.
So for me to not give the gift of that, after all these 22 years of me giving the gift of photography to all of my families and friends, for me to not give my own family the gift of me would be an absolute horrible thing to not do. So one of the reasons why I just have taken the time during the downtime of COVID to do this is to make sure that I leave that behind for whoever.
Right.
Whoever's
interested.
Whoever's interested.
Yeah, whoever wants to see me.
If they want to see it, that's great. I'm just, here I am.
Yeah, don't want to see me? Turn off.
There's plenty other people out there to watch.
Right.
But you know what I mean? I mean, like, there's got to be something left behind in real life form. Right. Here I am moving around.
I agree with you.
And then what would it be to be a fly on the wall in 100 or 200 years and have a great-great-granddaughter or a great-great-granddaughter have the same mannerisms and the same eyeballs and the same hairstyle and the same all of that? Because to me, even to this day, there are people who knew my mother that, will see me and they'll just freak out because what I do in my daily life and my movements and my talking are my mother, but I don't remember that.
Right.
But they're like, we do.
I think that's fascinating to me. That's fascinating to me. I'm the same way. I see, like, I have a friend that, we have a friend that passed away, and his son was only 4 months old. So I see him, he's 22 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, he laughs just like him.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
even
fantastic.
It's fantastic. I have a first cousin that is in Florida. We don't see each other very often. We started kind of connecting again just because, I don't know, we were at Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And someone was saying, are we twins? Y'all walk the same. And I think it's fascinating. We all like the same. We like the same things. Both have cats. We both married a high school sweetheart. It just goes on. And I'm just like, that just doesn't just happen. I mean, that's just.
Yeah. Well, if you need help, I will help you.
Okay.
I've taken a lot of classes from a lot of different people who are very, very knowledgeable on how to launch this stuff. And I hope that there'll be a lot more people that will do it, but I really want you to because I just feel like it would be a cool gift for your son and a really cool gift for your grandchildren and your students today. Yes. Right. And what we're dealing with, we're going to have to do something anyway, right? But the future is where it's at.
I never thought about. I mean, that is amazing that your son said that because I never would have thought that. I really wouldn't.
Well, I've said that. I mean, I've said not that. I didn't connect those dots.
Right.
I've said things like, I wish there was more photos of mom. Like, mom was always the one that took pictures.
Right.
Or, gosh, it would have really been cool if we had, like, a video.
Right.
If that existed.
Right.
And, if I could just pull it up and there would be mom singing happy birthday when I was 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever. Or showing me how to do a needlepoint project or whatever it is.
Awesome with that. Oh my God, that makes me too.
But
I think about my mama who I was so close to, Mississippi girl, So you're saying the butter, I was like thinking Aunt Josephine, all those people in Mississippi. And my mama made the biscuits that were on an iron skillet.
Absolutely.
Iron skillet, had it oiled. I mean, we had it, and if I had a video of her making those biscuits, because
it's priceless.
I'm like, but
it's priceless. And so that's when I started thinking to myself, get off your tail and stop worrying about whether your wig is screwed on straight or you've spent all day long doing your eye makeup. Just put on a microphone and get your ass in front of the camera because it's not important. What's important is leaving behind the legacy of who you are, whether it be helping somebody do a craft or showing somebody how to read or reading to them in a way that they're now intrigued to read more and will read for the rest of their life because of you. And that's the big thing.
Yes.
You have the ability to create a situation, a synergy with the children because you get them when they're little. And I have the same situation with my children too because all of my family see me when they're itty bitty all the way through their entire childhoods. The relationship is there.
Yeah.
So if Auntie A says it's supposed to be da-da-da-da-da, sometimes when Mommy and Daddy say it's supposed to be da-da-da-da-da, they don't listen. But if Auntie A says it, then it's like, you have influence in ways that you don't realize.
I know. I think if I'm not saying that, we it's kind of natural to us, I think.
Right.
I don't think we're putting on airs for anything. But
No, what you see is what you get with me, and if you don't like it, you can just
yeah, I can tell you don't
stick it up your.
Yeah, I can tell you do your thing, and I love that because I love that. But what was my point of that? Oh yeah, I got a text the other day because one of my students. See, I moved from 4th to 5th, and so I have some of my students again,
which is good.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I would love to loop.
It's nice to move with them. Yeah.
I wish I would have looped. I wish we looped. This just happened because it happened. But I had one little boy in particular, and I tutored him over the summer, and the mom was wrote me this, and I know her. I've known her for a while. So, but anyway, she wrote me this long text, and it was so touching how God put me in His life, and I'm like.
Every person that you are with God has put you.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the same with us. It's the same
Yeah,
with every single human being that you are touching, good or bad. There's a reason why. I believe that. I believe that.
I believe it too.
I believe that. You know, I've got friends that are like, I don't believe that everything happens for a reason. Everything bad happens for a reason. I know, yes, everything.
Right, I agree.
Everything. Okay, so mother getting killed when I was 8 years old. Yeah, that happened for a reason. Okay. Was it a good reason or a bad reason? Who knows?
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
At this point, who cares?
Right, yeah.
But I know one thing. I know this. I would not be who I am because I would have been in her shadow. She was Woman of the Year.
Oh my gosh.
She was a leading. She was on TV. She was on the news.
Oh my gosh.
She was as open and outspoken as I am.
Wow.
And I would have probably become more of a behind the scenes helper to
I
mom.
can see that. Yes, I can see that.
And because she was not here and people were like, you were so much like her, and I've just followed my own little path, right? And as I followed my own little path, I've become a lot like her, but I was already her to begin with because she made me. Right? So but I think I've come more into my own and would have come more into my own, would not have come more into my own.
I can see what you're saying, for sure.
If she were here.
Yeah, yes.
And very opinionated, and I can guarantee you I would not have appreciated any of that
while
I'm raising my children.
No.
So I have a lot of families that are like, oh my God, this mother-in-law, or oh my God, my mother. I'm like, well, mine are dead. I don't have to hear that. Right. I don't have to have a strained relationship with any of that. I mean, they're all gone.
I never thought about that.
I'm on my own. Now, whether I like that or not is here to say one day or the next.
Right.
You know, one day it might be or not day. You know, it depends on what day it is you ask me and what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, I'm not fighting with them because they're not here to fight with.
That's true.
Right?
Yes, there are. Yes.
So, I mean, there's always, you got to look at things in a different way. But every
that.
single person that you are in touch with, you're there for a reason, or they're there for you. Like it's a reason they're supposed to teach you a lesson or show you something, or it would not be. And that's the other thing that brings me to this, and this will be our last point because I don't want people to be like, oh my God, y'all are talking for 100 years.
We could do it.
We could. We could do it. The thing is that Joel Osteen, he said that every single thing that you have in your life, a trial, a tribulation, a positive, a winning situation, a bad situation, every single thing you have is laid in to connect the dots to get you where you're supposed to be. And if you think about this, I was shooting babies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was writing columns for all these different magazines. I was planning travel for people all over the world all the time, selling houses, listing them, marketing, pushing them, helping businesses grow. And then COVID hit. And all of that went. Right? So what did I do? I planted a garden.
Right. That you didn't have that before.
I had a little one. I didn't have what I have now.
Got it.
I planted a garden. This whole situation with this Sweet Life Kitchen and Make Nana's recipes and Mommy, I Want You in the Kitchen. I would have been doing an art craft project, but I wouldn't have videotaped it.
You wouldn't,
I would have been doing it in between, and I would have been doing it and saying I would do it, and then it would be 2 years before I'd actually get it done because I'd be so busy with clients trying to take care of families. So the positive on this situation is that I've been able to basically stop everything that I was doing and create something that's bigger than myself. And if it hadn't happened, and if I hadn't already had in place all these other things, I wouldn't have known to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree with you.
So it connects everything into one thing now, the YouTube situation that really was not possible if I hadn't gone through 22 years of being a photographer.
Right.
If I hadn't gone through 15 years of being a writer. Like, I mean, I would not I wouldn't.
Right.
So God has this path laid out.
Yes, I
and
agree.
and every single person is important to each other. And it's right now the most important thing is to get figured out at your core what you're going to leave behind and what is important. And people are doing that.
Right.
They're figuring it out.
Yes.
Some of them are figuring out that they hate their jobs, or they hate their spouses,
Yes,
or they
yeah.
don't really like their children, or whatever,
Yeah.
or their children are on drugs and they never realized they were because they were never at home.
They were never home.
Didn't pay attention. Some are figuring out their kids can't read, and they
Yes.
thought the teacher had done it for them.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah, then they blame the teacher.
Exactly.
Not that.
It's not that that's right.
And you know what? You blame me. I'm always like, I know I could have done more, because you always feel like you can do more.
Well,
I always feel like I can
yes,
do more.
but it's a village.
It is. Yeah,
It's a
and there's
village.
25 kids in the room. I
It's a
mean,
village, and it's a network for everything.
For sure.
But I really do. I really do feel like that of all of the stuff that we've shared and talked about before this, and even today for this episode, I really want you to consider starting that YouTube channel, because I really believe that you've got the ability to inspire those children to read and make a difference in their lives and for the rest of their lives, really. It's one of those things.
you.
If you need me help with that, like I said before, I'm serious. I'll do it. It's daunting.
yes.
It's daunting. It's a little bit strange pushing that record button, and we know it's strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't know who we're going to touch, and
Right.
you don't know what it would be like, because you can imagine it, I guess, and I can imagine it. But I think that it's so cool. I did do a video with my grandparents before they passed, which is kind of funny that I did, because
Yeah.
I went to Virginia, and I mic'd them up, and I recorded
Interesting. Yeah.
and had Big Daddy sing the songs that he sang when I
Yeah.
was little. So it was there. That little nugget was there.
Right.
And like we were talking about before with Joel Osteen, and how everybody's in your life for a reason, and all the things that you do, whether they're good or bad at the time when you're having them happen, are happening because God's made that plan
Right,
for
right,
you. And
yeah.
you would not be able to get to A to Z if you hadn't had C and F and H and J. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now if we hadn't had COVID.
Right.
Right. And
yeah.
so, and neither would you. You wouldn't have thought about maybe doing a whole
No.
summer series of keeping kids in touch with you, and keeping kids in touch with the love of reading, and that needs to continue. And for not only them, but for your children's children, because how cool would it be?
I never thought of that. Yeah.
How cool would it
Oh,
be?
it'd be so cool. Yes.
And I really believe, I feel like this is sort of crazy too. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's time to come back to your reflect or whatever. And of course, I turned 50 this year too, so there's that. But thinking about your legacy, and my legacy has always been thought about in terms of my writing and my photography. And yours is in educating the children and them remembering you as their favorite teacher, or
Right.
teaching them how to overcome whatever writing
Right.
lesson or whatever. But to build a base of yourself is the biggest gift that you can give to your family and to your legacy. My photos are on people's walls all over the world.
Right.
They are. They're in Africa. They're
Wow.
in New York. They're all over this country. They know that signature Alisa. It might be a small thing for someone who's finding me on YouTube today,
Right.
but I've been in and will continue to be in, because people don't take my photography off the wall. They leave it. It's a legacy wall that they keep, and they pass it to the next generation. And as a photographer, that's what photography is.
Right.
If you go back and look at the history of what that looks like,
Right.
why would you take a picture of yourself if you weren't wanting to make sure that you had photos of those that you love?
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Even with alive or dead, right? But my gift has been to the world those things in their homes. And the gift of giving a YouTube channel to your family, or to promote yourself, or it then turn into something like that because of you being alive. And like Lenny Kravitz says, talking and his mama's right there like she's never died, is a legacy for you.
Right.
Because what I'm giving gifts, when I'm doing photography, I'm giving gifts to families for them.
Right.
Yeah, my name's at the bottom right hand corner, and whatever.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, when such and such family is looking at such and such photo of their great grandfather that I photographed back in when I was alive,
Right.
they're not going to know me.
Right. Yes.
They're going to care less,
Right.
Oh, that was the photographer, or whatever. And that's what I had left before COVID. That's what I had left before
Right.
COVID.
I see what you're saying.
By giving this video a serious a serious stab to really work on it, to try to build a really good base of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's leaving behind a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's leaving behind a whole different thing.
Yes.
And that is where my heart is.
Right.
My heart has always been in that, and that
Right.
passion of that is what it is. So I've just overcome that. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, we were talking earlier about not really that comfortable with the camera. And,
Right.
it's one of those things where you just have to pretend like it's not there.
Yeah. Well, it's felt natural doing this, so I appreciate that, and you're so easy to talk to.
Well,
and you have so much knowledge to share. I mean, you need to be doing this. I feel like this is what you should be doing. I mean, all your other stuff too.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, though. I mean,
it's not easy. I mean, I'm like saying that you are great at this.
Well, I love you. I don't know that I'm great at it, but I will say this: I feel like I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm getting better. But the thing that I have, like that star that I'm looking at the end of the tunnel, that's like, okay, this is my goal. This is my thing. Mm. My goal is not, to be some YouTube star.
Right. Yes,
it's just not. I mean, like if it happened, that would be fantastic. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it would.
Right.
But the biggest goal is to say, okay, 30 years from now,
right.
Put 30 years in. I put 22 years in photography, 15 years in writing. I'm going to combine everything together. I'm going to put 30 years into this. If I, God willing, have 30 more years left.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in that kitchen with that little apron on, and I'm doing that little recipe on that fig preserves that Nana did,
mm-hmm.
or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I've got it taped.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's safe in a spot that when I'm gone, if somebody in the family wanted to see me do it,
mm-hmm.
they're not funneling around trying to figure out where that little piece of recipe card was
yes.
with the signature they can't even hardly read.
Mm-hmm.
And figure out how to make that
mm-hmm.
recipe because they don't know how to make that recipe,
right.
and they want the one that they ate
mm-hmm.
when they were kids or their grandfather talked about. It's important.
I agree, and how I know how genuine you are with this is because I know your son said it and it made you click, and you are thinking, I want to be a big YouTube star and make money. You're not thinking that way.
I'm not trying to sell you anything.
I know. You're thinking legacy, and why I know that is if you were trying to be, here's me, I'm trying to promote myself, you would be all over Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be doing all that. I would see you all the time doing all that. Or I'm on, what I'm saying? I know that's not it's genuine. It's just.
No, I mean, it is what it is. I just need to make sure that we've got pickle recipes saved and beet recipes saved. And that, God, you knew that I was a photographer. The
mm-hmm.
photography's there. I mean, like, that's there. God knows I take those cameras. I loved Canon. That's what Uncle Jim shot. That's what he trained me on. So I've never mm-hmm. shot anything but a Canon. A lot of people are like Nikon people. I'm a Canon person. Mm-hmm. And I wear them out. I just ordered a brand new camera this morning.
Oh, wow.
Oh no, I click them till they are dead.
Really?
And it's so funny because people are like, "Oh my God, my camera is broken," and I'm like, "Okay, it probably is broken because you're not." They use it for vacations or whatever.
Right.
But when I come in here from the studio in a whirl and hand Brian the camera and lay it on the desk and go, "She's gone. It's gone. It's gone."
Like, I would have thought, this is interesting, because I would have thought you were like, I'm going to get the next best thing.
No.
You're just, it's gone.
It is, but it's just in the paintbrush, when I'm painting, the paintbrush, the camera, anything that's equipment, I've never been like all into all that. People will go, funny story, Popular Photography magazine years ago, like 2005 or 4, called me, and I hung up. I thought they were joking. I didn't realize it was them. And finally the guy called like the third time. He's like, "Please don't hang up on me. I'm trying to interview you. You're one of the best baby photographers in the country. We want to put you in a 2-page spread for our magazine. It's a national magazine. You want to pay me for an interview. First question is, what camera do you shoot?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know. I have no idea what camera I shoot." Brian does that. Brian researches that. He figures out whatever it is. It's the best megapixels or the whatever the thing is. And he does all of that. That is a tool for me, just as it is a paintbrush.
Right.
As an artist, I'm not the technical anything. I'm using that camera to get this.
Yeah.
This sparkle in your child's eye. This your soul. This.
You see it, yeah.
Like I would be if I was on a canvas painting. And I'm not, nor do I need or want the most expensive brush or the most expensive canvas or the most expensive camera or lens. That is what I have to use to get this particular thing made. And YouTube is the same way. This is what I have. This is the platform that I have to use to be able to get the legacy built. And if it's me being uncomfortable or comfortable, depending on whatever it is, with the mics and the technology and the lighting and the whatever it is and the getting it all edited and all that, it's a learning curve that has to be go over it, get it done, figure it out. Just as it would be if you have to learn how to paint and make the paint colors when I was in art school, or how the f-stops and apertures work on a camera. The end goal is still the same.
Right.
The project at the end of the day is leaving stuff behind and using the tools that are there to do it. But yeah, it's hysterical because people are like, I cannot even believe that you don't know what camera you use. And I'm like,
I love that.
I could care less as long as it gets the job done. I mean, like, but I am a Canon girl, and unfortunately, I wear them out. I mean, like, they're supposed to go, I think it's like 4,000 frames or something. And Brian looked it up, and this last one, because I mean, literally every single one that I've had, I've shot till they just died.
Yeah,
and he took it down to the shop the other day in Houston, and the guy looked at him and said, "It's the motherboard. She's fried it again. Like, it's just she's fried it because she shot it to the absolute maximum amount that it can do."
Yeah.
So you can send it off to Canon and hope that they can fix it, or you can just buy a brand new one because she has worn it out like you drive a car till it's gone.
Yes.
You know, there's a Lexus will go forever, but there's going to be a day you're going to go out there, even though it's a Lexus.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, chugga, boom.
Yeah, mom, I'm gone. Yeah.
Right. And that's at the end of the day, the one thing I want to say about my life. I want that to be the way I live my life. I want all of my life to be exhausted. I want to have given everything I could possibly give to the point where I can't give any more.
Right.
Like it's just like the Shel Silverstein book, The Giving Tree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to be the giving artist to the point where I cannot give you. There's not one thing left. You've got everything I've ever had, and then that's a life well lived. That's a life well lived.
Yeah. Well, yes. I think I feel the same way, but I don't know the avenues, and I haven't gone on a lot of avenues to do that, and I don't have. I guess. I mean, my husband doesn't really. He does. You know, people don't think the same way. You kind of like, you know, what I'm saying, like I just need to go full speed ahead and do what I need to do. You know, like.
Yeah. And mine, like I said, I'm gonna do this, and they're like, "Oh God."
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That's the response. Oh God.
They're not like saying don't do it. They're just saying,
"Oh God."
Here she goes again.
And then it's like, "Okay, Mom, I'm not videotaping it. Okay, I'm not going to photograph it. I'm not doing that." Or Brian, bless his heart, love him to death. This one he didn't sign up for. This one he said, he goes, "We do travel together. We do real estate together. We do photography together. You're writing on your own." Obviously, that's a writing on your own is a writing on your own.
Right.
And half the time I'll feature him in my columns, and he never even reads the column. He doesn't even read the column. Like, that's hysterical to me. I mean, I attribute to our marriage or a tribute to him being a great father or whatever, and there's a photo of him, and he knows I'm photographing him and using the photo in the column, and he doesn't even read the column.
Right.
There's 100,000 people reading the column about him, and he's at the grocery store at the church house. And so I'm like, "Oh, so I read the column Alisa wrote about you. It was so sweet." What column?
Yeah.
Know what I've done.
Yeah.
But this one, he was like, no, this is not. I will not become your photo editor. I will not do this. If you do that for YouTube.
Okay.
And it was almost like they were afraid of what might happen.
What do you think?
Well, because I think that at the end of the day, it's like you said, I was born for this. Every single thing that has led to this was me to just do this. It's not for money. It's just to do it.
Right.
But what can happen when people do that, and they're doing it for the right reasons, not for any other reason, just doing it. Sometimes things get a little crazy, right? Sometimes people kind of know if you go viral. What happens when you go viral? Now everybody knows who you are. Now everywhere you go in the restaurant, somebody's, going to stop you. Right?
Right.
And that changes not just my life, but it changes the lives of my family. And I don't know that the family members are all keen on...
Right, they're not... Yes, they're not...
They didn't sign up for that.
That's what... Right when I was saying I was going to do this, Jacob, my son, was like, "Okay, well, people are going to write comments, Mom." And I'm like, okay. I mean... I don't know.
But that's the same negativity that I was met with James Edward too. But what my comments had been, here's my comments. You ready? "Your pickle recipe was so fantastic. I've never had pickles that good before. Can you please show me how to water bath can that so I can make it shelf stable? Oh my God, where did you find this thing for your terrarium? I had no idea how cute terrariums could be."
Yeah.
That's the comments I'm getting.
Well, that's what I told Jacob. I said, "Well, I don't really care what they say, like how I look or anything like that."
No, they're not being mean like that.
Yeah, I said.
And if they are, we're not going to respond.
Right. I'm like,
because I don't have time. I don't have the time of day, especially not in the day of COVID and the life I'm living. I don't even have the time of day to deal with that.
No, I don't even
I'm not
care.
even going to go there.
That's what I
If
told
you
him.
don't like my hair or my shoes or my house or my personality, turn it off.
Exactly. That's what I said. I'm not afraid of what they say. I mean, they say stuff. I've never looked on any of the Yahoo groups for teachers, mom, and like anything that could be talking about. They're other talking about teachers. Okay. I mean, that's what I say.
No.
I don't care.
No, and I don't, and I never have. I never have. I really never have.
I've gotten over all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any. There was not an interim in high school where I went through a stage where I gave an SHIT about anybody saying anything. Probably because mother was killed and I was already out there anyway, because I was already the kid whose mom got killed. Mm-hmm. So I was not going to be a part of the in group. I was the first chair trombone player, only girl
I love that.
in the brass section. I mean, I was always beating to my own drum anyway. So if you liked it, you liked it. If you didn't, you didn't.
You learned that young, and I love that, because I don't think it took me a while to get that.
Yeah, I mean, that was not my fear at all in doing YouTube or Martini Talks or coming up with any of this. I was not concerned with anybody's opinions or comments or thought processes about me as a person. If you want to pick somebody apart, that puts you in a whole different level.
Right, exactly.
That just is not even part of my game plan. I don't even live in that plane.
Right.
My whole thing was, how do I build a legacy? How do I get this video done? How am I going to figure out how to get this technology hump conquered, because I'm an artist. I'm not a techie person.
Yes.
And where am I going to come up with stuff to say? And then it's basically, I haven't had to. And for me, back to what we were talking about, I haven't had to, because God's part of all that. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't wake up in the morning and fret about what am I going to take, because God lays it before me. I have a big old plate full of figs right now that you just saw that I have now got to process and show you how to make fig preserves. I have a whole ton of tomatoes. I got to figure out how to show you how to do tomatoes. God did that.
No, I agree.
I don't have time to worry about that.
If you're having to sit there and think, then you really shouldn't be doing it, to me. You have knowledge to share. You have something to share that is worthwhile. It means something to you, and hopefully it means something to someone else. I mean, I think that's what people that want to be YouTube stars are just thinking of something that's outrageous.
Well, they're thinking about, and I think this is part of the allure of it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that if they can grab a product and promote it like they're some star, or if they can figure out maybe some way to pivot their people that follow them by doing something goofy.
Right, shock somebody.
Or, I don't know.
No.
But it's a short-term thing.
Sure.
It's a short-term thing.
Yeah, right.
And my whole thinking is, I've been writing all these columns for years, and I got all these recipes, and I got all this crap that I got to share, but I got to share it for my family. And along the way, people watching on YouTube just get the benefit of it. They get to watch it. If they like it, they like it. They get something from it. That's fantastic. I hope they do. But and at the end of the day, who knows? I mean, I might end up at some point having some something. My assistant photographer yesterday, she came over here, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're going to get merch, you're going to do this, you're going to do that." I said, "I don't know anything about all that.
Right.
I don't know nothing about all that. I'm not even thought or thinking about selling T-shirts and cups and endorsing this product and endorsing that product. What I'm thinking about right now is making sure that I have gone through my rotary in my brain of, did I plant everything I'm supposed to in the garden? Do you know how to do cucumbers? Mm-hmm. Do you know how to plant tomatoes? Do you know how to stagger your lettuce plantings? Do you understand when you get it out of the garden what you're supposed to do with it? You didn't just grow it to throw it in the trash.
Right.
You got to pull the snails off of it. You're going to eat holy kale.
I need to look
holy
at this.
Kale. Mm-hmm. Holy kale doesn't exist at the grocery store because holy kale got sprayed with pesticides. Mm-hmm. But if you're not using pesticides, you're going to have holy kale. And how to figure out what to do with that food, and what's the home recipes that I was raised on turnip greens, and pulled pork, and whatever, and and that is stuff that I'm not going to be around. I mean, let's just be serious. I'm not going to be around for my great grandchildren to tell them that. I'm not the fairy godmother that can live forever.
Right. Yeah.
And I need to be able to say, and I'm thinking about this too, and I really think that I should do this. I think I should sit down and go through all of my little things that I think you should do with your life, and all of the little things that I was taught by Nana and Granny and Big Daddy and Daddy and Uncle Jim and everybody else, Aunt Lona who's passed away, and make a video series of the things that you're supposed to do. Life. Not like etiquette, but like life. Like just stuff that that I just know, right? But
I love
if
that.
I don't teach it to you or tell it to you, and I'm not around to show you or
Right.
say it,
Like-
you're gonna miss it.
Right.
But make a whole series of that kind of stuff
No, I
that
love
will
that.
be there, because, I'll say something's going on. I'll go, what in the Sam Dickens? Da 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 da
Yeah,
da da.
yeah, yeah.
And the kids will just giggle, and I'm like, there's Nana.
Right.
Or whatever. And those are the things that need to be remembered. And
I agree.
And I think that that's a good idea too, just as another playlist, because
No, I like that, because we always do that with my mama. And like mama would say things like she was she went through 7th grade, picked cotton in Mississippi, and she had to quit school to pick cotton, and they made like, she made like
$0.
$8 cents a day. Her, had 7 brothers and sisters. So that's what we're talking about. Like, here's a white girl like picking cotton. She has no education, but mama was, oh my God, love that mom.
full of education. Full.
Yeah.
To the brim full.
Yeah.
To the absolute tippy brim full.
Right.
Not in the book way.
Right.
But in life.
Right.
And that was the thing with Nana. And when Nana died at 102, we were in North Carolina. She would not die. She would not die. She had a stroke. She was flailing from a stroke. She would not pass. And my sister called. She goes, she ain't going to leave until you get here. She knows you're not here.
Oh yeah, she's yeah.
And
Was she unconscious?
well, she was in and out. But I flew in. I was like, man, damn. I'll be there. Not that I didn't want to be there,
Right,
but I was
right.
here shooting pictures. And I knew that if Nana was like in her right mind, she would have been like, you don't need to come. But she was not having it.
Right.
And so I flew in, and I got there, and she was just flailing, and then they'd kind of sedate her, and she was flailing, and they'd sedate her, and she wasn't coming out of it. There was no way she was coming out 102.
Right.
And so, and she hadn't been fed, and all DNR, all that was
All
in
that stuff.
place.
They stopped eating and all that. Yes.
So I get there, and I'm like, what can I do to make Nana remember me? Like, what can I do to make sure she knows that my tail has flown from Texas to North Carolina, and I'm going to
See
be...
that mind working? I love that. You're thinking...
What can I do?
Right.
So I had always given her Estee Lauder every year under the tree. Didn't matter if she used it up. Every year bought the same thing. Every year she was just thrilled to pieces as she could be to get it.
Yeah.
And every year I did it. But there was a connection with me and Estee Lauder. The Estee
Yes,
perfume.
I remember that perfume.
It's a very specific perfume. Smells like grandmother's from the Baptist church, right? And so I creamed her body in the Estee cream and cut her nails and polished her nails and cut her hair.
Right now.
And I ordered flowers and all the lavenders. I said, because the same florist that did my wedding and my mother and father's funeral was going to be doing Nana's funeral, but I called him up and I said, okay, I'm in town. I need the biggest bouquet of the most fantastic purple and white flowers, whatever you got. You figure it out. I don't care. Just bring it to the hospital. This is the room we're in. And she came out of that space and smelled the Estee and realized for 2 seconds, she did this, that I was there. Mm-hmm. And then 12 hours later, she passed away. Wow. And when I went to her body, I was scared to death when Mother got killed. I was 8 years old, and they wanted me to go and look in the casket and all this stuff. And I thought, oh my God, so petrified. And when I went, I could see where they had sewed her lips shut. And I swore I would never be buried. Not be buried. And I still am on that trajectory. I have zero desire to be buried. I am to be cremated. I am to be laid in my Louis Vuitton and put on a shelf and left to be in my Louis Vuitton and pour me a martini on February the 20th every year for my birthday. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and the kids know. But I got there and I thought, I'm going to just be petrified, but I had to go, right? I had to go.
Oh, yeah. And
I realized that she was gone. Mm-hmm. This body that she had been living in was just that. It was like if you'd gone out to your garden and you found a cocoon and the butterflies left. She was gone.
Yes.
And this was just what was left, and that was the end of it. And after that, the whole idea and concept of death, dying, for me is, it was already a little bit wonky because of Mother, but it really was just at peace. She lived to be everything she was supposed to be. She lived to mother us. She lived to mother way past, anything that she would have ever had an expectation to do. And she was done. And so I just hope that that's the way I am. I hope that whenever I go, I want people to, think that just not think, but no, I've done everything. And what's more important is with everybody that I come across my path, I want to leave you better than you were before you met
Right,
me.
I agree. I totally agree with
That's
that.
like my motto about the whole thing. That's my motto. If you come here for a photo shoot and you can't stay with me for whatever reason that may be, for financial, or you don't like me, or whatever the case
Right.
may be, you have to move away. As long as I've left you a nugget of a photo, or as long as I've made an impression on you that's a positive one,
Positive one, yes.
that's all I care about. And I
Right.
know that each year as the school goes by and the students are by and your new students coming in, it's the same thing. You want people to look back and smile.
Right, I
They want a
do.
smile on their face when they think of your name. They do not. I do not want anyone to ever have. And there's been a few people in my life that are, that didn't happen.
Right.
But I wasn't old enough to know to do that. Like I was in my early 20s or my early 30s, or I was building a business and I was a bitch.
Well, you can't, but you can't.
Or I
but
didn't.
You can't please everybody.
No. But there are a few hiccups. I'll call them hiccups.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Like,
Regrets,
you just
whatever.
like, okay, yeah.
A few, but not many. But now I'm 50, and now I know very clearly. I mean, there will not be another person that ever steps into my
I know what you're saying.
airspace that will not be made better by me being in it. Or if I can't help them, I'll just say that I can't, and we'll move on.
Okay, I know what you're saying. I can see what you're saying, because like just when I say Jacob's like, Mom, why do you have to talk to everybody? I'm like, well, why not? Why not brighten their day by the yard guy that's there?
You don't know how helpful you are. It might be the only person they talk to the whole
Right.
day.
I'm like, I don't, it just comes natural. I don't understand why I won't talk to him. I don't understand what you're saying to me. Like it doesn't, I'm like, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just, they think I'm never going to see him. Well, I mean, yard guy, you're going to see again. But I mean, like they think you're never going to see him again. Why are you saying, of course, then they think I'm opening a can of worms. People just talk to me. And I'm like, sometimes I don't say anything to them,
No. I just believe that there are people that want to stay in their little box, which we talked about earlier, and there are people who are willing to get out of that box. That's not necessarily the most comfortable thing in the world, but they're making a difference and leaving behind a lot of good stuff along the way.
Right.
I want to be that.
Yeah.
I want to be that. Mm-hmm. If it makes money, great. If it doesn't, don't care.
Right.
It would be nice if it did, sure. But it's more important to leave behind the legacy of me. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, would really be a good thing for everybody to do.
No, I agree with you.
So.
It's a better place, yes, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you. It was so much fun. We could be here all day. So
I know, we could.
We're giving you
if you guys have stayed and watched all the way through, we appreciate you doing that too. Because we have no idea. Sometimes people watch the whole time, and sometimes people get bored and kind of drop off. And there's always nuggets there. Mm-hmm. Here and there, there's always a nugget, and sometimes people miss it because they turn it off too soon.
Yeah, they're missing something good.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you guys have found any value in this, which I'm sure, I can't see how you wouldn't have, honestly, between me and you today, we've really had a great conversation. Please don't forget to like and share, ring that bell so that you're notified whenever the next episode hits. We have Martini Talks drop every Friday at 6. And then we do have other episodes with the kitchen and the garden and the DIYs that drop intermittently throughout the week, usually Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we look forward to seeing you guys on the channel. We hope you've had a wonderful afternoon visiting with us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.